Yes and no is also a very important part of life because it gives you choices. Having the means to respond to somebody requires an interaction. So yes and no, there's an interaction going on there, not just somebody telling the child, you have to do this, and there's no interaction. What's happening is the yes and no gives you the choices, give you the interaction, you respond, you act wanting a response from her as a child. And as I said, being able to say just yes and no is empowering. One boy I worked with, I'll call him Matt, he had cerebral palsy and very limited use of his limbs, and he was in a wheelchair, no vocalization, but he used what is called eye-gaze communication. So it's a clear acrylic board, and on it is picture symbols, so he could tell me what he wanted. He loved it. When we were using it, it was just great. So for him, it was yes and no. It was the same. This is the boy I met at the park that day. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Simplest thing if we didn't have his communication equipment with him. One day he was lying on a mat after having therapy for his legs, and it's just stretching. It was not difficult for him, and his support worker was sitting with him, and he started to fuss, and she said, well, Matt, what's wrong? And Matt couldn't respond. He just fussed a little bit, and then she, are you sick? Are you want to go in the wheelchair? Are you hungry? And she kept on asking him questions. They kept on getting more and more upset. Then another support worker came over asking him questions as well. And he didn't have his communication equipment. What he needed at that time was both of them could have said with thumbs up or thumbs down, are you sick? Yes or no. You want to go in the wheelchair? Yes or no. Just those simple things would empower him. And for him, it was frustration. At that time, I did go over and I did have his communication system with him, and he stopped crying. His frustration was, how can I communicate unless you give me something to communicate? So if you don't have the equipment there, just use the yes and no in whatever way you can. It's empowering for that child, and they need it. They need some way to communicate. Sometimes, besides, it's fun to be able to say yes or no and have choices. Can you imagine being at a restaurant and I don't know if you like broccoli, but maybe you do. And if it only served broccoli, well, you'd be happy. Yes, that'd be good. But if it didn't serve broccoli and you didn't like broccoli, you really didn't have a choice. That's not much fun. So the child being able to have the choice is empowering. The child hey, it's their life. We can't choose for them. Now, children with verbal skills also may need yes and no symbols, especially when the day is overwhelming and overpowering and taking in more information is too difficult. Even to process, do you want snack now or later? It's too much to process when I can't make a decision right now. What do you mean? Now or later? What do you mean? So just ask, do you want your snack now? Yes or no. And the child, you don't even have to use the symbols for that. They can also say no, yes, but you keep the question simple, just one thing to go yes or no for, and that will help calm the situation down and help you move forward on what the child needs or what your child wants. See now. Oh, I did talk to you about conversations just using yes and no. It's just so two little powerful words that empower that child, empower communication, empower that connection. You can connect, excuse me, you can connect it. It's a child, if they have no tools, have a very boring life, have not really connecting. So you need to give them the tools to communicate, and just starting basically with yes and no. If you have no other communication equipment around, that connection can happen, that empowerment can happen just by using yes and no. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. For more information from me or to read about my story, please follow the links below to Parenting Special Needs magazine. And thank you so much for letting me share this, and I hope you enjoyed it.